Okay.
Okay, so on November 4th, last Tuesday, which was a wonderful day, we elected Barack Obama president, the first African American to do so. And this was such a great step forward in civil rights in our country, but unfortunately, on the same day in California, Proposition 8 was on the ballot that passed. So while we made this huge milestone in racial equality and also gender equality with the presence of Sarah Palin on the Republican ticket, we took a step backwards in sexual orientation and that kind of equality in our country. So it's my opinion that the United States and the states should recognize same-sex civil unions or same-sex marriage so we can advance our country and accept each other's differences. So same-sex marriage has its opponents. And some people feel that it would damage traditional, quote, traditional marriage and traditional lifestyle. But this really isn't true. There was a study done in Scandinavia where all the countries, most of the countries did allow same-sex marriage or civil unions, and they found that in the 1980s, divorce rates skyrocketed to 50%, which is what it is here in the U.S. And once they introduced same-sex marriage and civil unions, they either leveled off or the divorce rates dropped. So the idea of it destroying, quote, destroying traditional marriage simply isn't true and it's unfounded. And some other groups feel that same-sex couples should not be allowed to have children or adopt children or in any other means. I believe that children deserve loving homes, whether it be with a grandparents or aunts and uncles or brothers and sisters raising their children, and that same-sex couples can provide loving and caring homes for kids. And that there's so many children out there who are raised by non-traditional families. They're successful children like Barack Obama, who was raised by his grandparents, and he's achieved the highest office in the land. So it's not, to me, to say that same-sex couples cannot raise successful children is discriminatory. And there are lots of child advocacy groups that endorse same-sex marriage and same-sex couples having children, like the American Psychological Association, the North American Council of Adoptable Children, the Child Welfare League of America, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Psychiatric Association, and the National Association of Social Workers, just to name a few. And the American Psychological Association actually had a press release on their website advocating same-sex couples adopting children and same-sex marriage. And I'll just read the first paragraph. They said, quote, prohibiting civil marriage for same-sex couples is discriminatory and unfairly denies couples and their children and other members of their family the legal, financial, and social advantages of civil marriage. The APA, American Psychological Association, also opposed discrimination against lesbian or gay parents, adoption, child custody and visitation, foster care, and reproductive health services. Children need loving homes, and loving homes do not discriminate based on sexual orientation. And another disadvantage of same-sex couples not being allowed to marry or have civil unions is the fact that they are not allowed their partner's health insurance like heterosexual couples. And they also do not have the same rights, like being able to visit a partner in the hospital or being able to have the kind of decision-making in case of their partner is incapacitated by illness or otherwise. They don't have the kinds of rights that married couples do to make decisions for their partners. So even if couples have been together for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, they don't have these rights. And I find that atrocious, that is completely unfair. And if the United States wants to be a beacon of hope around the world, we need to fully accept everyone's sexual orientation and to realize that what happens behind closed doors with two consenting adults is not anybody's business, but their own, and should not be discriminated upon by the state. And we can see this here, how far we've come in racial and gender relations with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Sarah Palin, that we can break through that kind of final frontier of civil rights in this country by allowing gay rights and same-sex couples and marriages. And with Matthew Shepard, that should have been a wake-up call for us, and it died the horrific way he did. But it's hard to do that when we have discriminatory amendments on the ballot box. But in some states in New England, like Connecticut and Massachusetts, are allowing same-sex marriage and civil unions. And New York is now going to recognize, Governor David Paterson is now going to recognize marriages from Massachusetts. And it was just in the 1960s. Interracial marriage was not allowed in 16 states that I was reading today. I was actually watching last night Countdown with Keith Olbermann, and he had one of his special comments about Prop 8. And he also kind of drew the parallel in interracial marriage and how 16 states would not allow the President of the United States parents to be married. And a lot of people said, the same thing, that's not natural, it goes against society. And here we are today, everyone can have interracial marriage, and society is still fully intact. So an Atlantic blogger, Andrew Sullivan, stated on his that Prop 8 is not the end of the fight for gay civil rights, stating, if we had won this war, the civil rights battle would be all but over, but now it isn't. So now they get back to work, arguing, talking, debating, writing, blogging, struggling to change more minds. The hope for equality can never be extinguished, however hard our opponents try. And in the unlikely history of America, there's never been anything false about hope. But I know that everybody's not swayed to this allowing same-sex marriage or civil unions just by emotional reasons or personal reasons. They need some hard, evidence. They need something that's going to benefit them. So when I was doing some research, I found that small businesses in California will actually be taking a hit from the passing of Prop 8 because of venues and wedding planners and things like that. So it can hurt small business to ban these things. So there was actually a study done by the comptroller in New York. Visual aid here, that actually helps the economy for same-sex marriage. They found that not only will small businesses be benefited, the state will be benefited from taxes and tourism and hotels and events, and also for small businesses with health care, they can be on their partner's health care. And I'm just going to read a small little paragraph from that study. It was done by William C. Thompson, Jr. He stated that the comptroller's office estimated that the economic impact of marriage equality would add $142 million on a net basis to New York City's economy during the 3 years following the legislative approval. It would add about $184 million on a net basis in the spending of the state's economy. $142 million benefit to New York City's economy includes spending on weddings by New York State residents who live outside the city but choose to marry there. The comptroller's office estimated that the state will collect about $8 million more in taxes and save more than $100 million in outlays on health care, while the city would collect about $7 million in taxes and fees and experience no impact on outlays. Another downside of banning same-sex marriage would be it would drive away people from the state. It would drive away potential employees from colleges, recent college graduates coming into the state. And Indiana actually tried to do this. They tried to put an amendment in the state constitution to ban same-sex marriage, and Common CEO Tim Solso wrote a letter to Pat Bauer urging him not to pass the amendment. And he stated, quote, anything that makes Indiana a less inclusive and less welcoming place for our current and future employees is bad for our business and bad for the state. And I have to agree with that, because we can have students from IU who would probably travel elsewhere for employment if they think that the state is discriminating against some of its citizens. So same-sex marriage is beneficial to everyone, not just the couples. So in conclusion, the banning of same-sex marriage would affect not only the couples, but their families and friends. It can potentially hurt small business. And can hurt us economically. And if we're going to be a beacon of hope in the world, that we should accept everyone and treat everyone equally, and not be separate but equal together. And just like when we elected Barack Obama, we can show the world once again that we are that bright, shining city on the hill, and that we can be acceptable of all. So, just leave a quote from the Declaration of Independence. Behold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
Here. I'm convinced.